Hello, my name is Tyne, and today I would like to talk to you about two things that are kind of related, so maybe it's really just one thing. And as you can probably tell from the title, those things are resolutions and bucket lists. I would actually like to start today with bucket lists in particular. It's kind of funny that I'm wearing my Minerva sweater right now because bucket lists are something that I thought about a lot while I was in Minerva traveling. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out a thingy. But so basically it was very common each semester in a new city for people to talk about what their bucket list was or what things they really wanted to make sure that they did during those 4 measly months that we had in each place. But in my experience, that led a lot more of the time to disappointment than to fulfillment. Because when life inevitably happened, when classes got really challenging and you had to hunker down and get your work done, sometimes it just wasn't possible to check off everything on that bucket list you wrote optimistically on the first day in a new place. But this year, I'm trying to reestablish a new type of relationship with a bucket list by using a very different kind of bucket list. And this is also a very mainstream version, and it is the bucket list of movies that you should see in your lifetime. We have probably all heard of the top 100 IMDb movies as a very common movie bucket list. That is not where I'm starting this year. I'm starting with a much shorter bucket list. I'm starting with this bucket list from Rooftop Film Club, and I picked this one out specifically because it is much shorter than some of the other bucket lists for movie watching that exist. Now you might be asking, why do I feel like this bad relationship with bucket lists is something I need to even do anything about in the first place? Well, I listen to music full albums at a time. This means that I often repeat full albums of my favorite artists over and over in a sort of cycle through the same set of even just half a dozen to a dozen albums at a time. You may be able to predict, but eventually I start to get a little bit of an itch for something new. Obviously, it's ideal if one of those favorite artists puts out a new album that I can add into my rotation to spice things up, but sometimes that isn't possible, and then we run up against the challenge of how to find new favorite things. How do we discover things in a way that increases the odds that we're actually going to find something that we really enjoy? For music, I do enjoy how at the end of an album, Spotify will start playing a radio inspired by that album. I have been able to find new artists to check out in that way. But for movies, I have fallen out of the movie watching game, and I've been wanting to get back into enjoying film and loving film and thinking about films. So I decided that this bucket list would really act more like a roadmap for me to get back into film by watching ones that are really highly regarded, watching movies that really did something unique enough to catch the attention of the writer of this article. I also really enjoyed that there are a lot of movies I've already seen and enjoyed on this list, and I do fully intend to rewatch those movies and think about them a little deeper, a little more critically. So with that, this bucket list isn't just try out all these new things, these unfamiliar, scary things that you might hate, but you might love. This bucket list is also, here's some nice, comfortable things to come back to, some things that you already know you enjoy, some things that are guilty pleasures. And that's why I'm very excited to make the resolution to try to watch these movies throughout the year, to try to keep coming back to this list as a guide through the world of cinema. And that transitions us nicely into the second idea of resolutions. So one thing that's really common in the reading community is to set a resolution to read a certain number of books each year. You could say this also applies to other forms of media, but I think it's a little less common for people to say they want to go watch this number of movies each year. But it can feel like there's this obligation to make things competitive, to put a number on it, to have something you're aspiring to with the purpose of being impressive, I guess. I've never fully understood the reasoning for it. So this year, I'm really trying to take the pressure off of meeting any set in stone goals like that. I'm not setting a goal for how many books I want to read in the year. I'm not setting a goal to finish every single movie on this bucket list by the end of the year. In the end, it ends up really working against the flow of life. If I'm feeling really into movies for a couple of months, I want to watch as many movies as possible without feeling guilty that I may be reading fewer books in those months. So for this year, my resolution is to take in the media that excites me in the moment. it. And I'm hoping bucket lists can be a way to help me do that. But if they're a hindrance, I may leave it in the dust. Consuming media shouldn't feel like a job. It shouldn't feel like a checklist. It should be about engaging with those things in a way that helps you bring new meaning into your own life. If you enjoyed this, do all of the things. Hit that stupid red subscribe button to join me for further short little tidbits and thoughts. See you soon.